There comes a moment in every journey where the road ahead seems too silent to be real. You look around and wonder, has God left me here? Has He forgotten the prayers I've whispered into the night? The ones soaked in tears. The ones groaned through exhaustion. The ones no one else knows I've prayed. But He knows. And not only does He know, He was listening the entire time. The silence wasn't absence. It was saturation. It was the soil in which faith grows deep. It was the canvas where the whisper of heaven began to paint something beyond what your eyes could see. Because when God makes a way, He doesn't just clear a path. He reshapes your heart. And maybe that's what this season has been about. Not the destination, but the transformation. He's not late. He's exact. He's not distant. He's intentional. And while your eyes scan for signs, He's been setting up scenes. Not to impress you, but to form you. You see, the most powerful moves of God don't always start with fire or thunder. They often start in stillness. In places where your hands can no longer control the outcome and your only option is to surrender. It's here, in the quiet, in the unseen, in the undone, that His voice becomes clearer, not louder, but closer, because the whisper doesn't need volume. It needs proximity, and He is close, closer than the fears that scream, closer than the doubts that echo, closer than the weariness that tempts you to quit. He hasn't forgotten you. He hasn't overlooked your obedience. He hasn't wasted your waiting. He's been with you in every unseen step. And now, something is shifting. You can feel it, even if you can't explain it. The air is changing. The weight is lifting. The hush is no longer hollow. It's holy. Because the way is being made. Not by your striving, not by your strategy, but by His Spirit. You don't have to see the whole picture to move. You just have to trust the one who holds the brush. And He's been painting a masterpiece with every surrendered yes. So breathe. Let go of the timeline you thought you needed. Let go of the expectation that wore you thin. Let go of the belief that it's too late. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are simply being led. And the one who leads you never loses a sheep. He leaves the 99 to find the one. And He has found you. Even here. So be still, and let the whisper speak louder than the storm. God is not done. He is just getting started. There's a tension we often resist, the space between promise and fulfillment. It stretches our trust, exposes our fears, and reveals what we truly believe about God. But that space is not empty. It's sacred, and in it, God is not punishing you. He is preparing you. When Abraham walked up the mountain with Isaac, he didn't know a ram was already coming up the other side. When the Israelites stood trapped between Pharaoh's army and the Red Sea, they didn't know God had already told the sea how to split. When Mary stood before an angel and heard she'd bear a son, she didn't know heaven had already written his name. And now, as you face your mountain, your sea, your unknown, heaven is already in motion. The provision is not on the way. It's already been spoken. The door isn't being made. It's already prepared. The breakthrough isn't a possibility. It's a promise. But here's the thing, God rarely shows you the whole map. Instead, He asks you to follow the whisper, to trust the tug, to move when all you have is His word. And that's where the miracle lives, not in what you can see, but in who you know. So if your surroundings feel barren, don't despise them. God does His best work in hidden places. He formed the universe in darkness. He knit you together in a womb. He rolled away the stone from a sealed grave. And He is still forming beauty in what looks empty. This is not the end. This is the edge of something sacred. So take one more step. Even if it's trembling, even if it's quiet, even if it doesn't make sense. Because the moment you step, the moment you choose to move in faith, the atmosphere shifts. Not because your foot is heavy, but because your obedience is holy. This is where the breakthrough begins. In the ordinary, in the private, in the whispered yes that no one sees but heaven. And heaven always responds to faith. So keep walking, keep hoping, keep praying. The way is being made. And when it unfolds, it will not be because you forced it. It will be because you followed. Not because you pushed it into being, but because you trusted the one who was already there. The whisper of God doesn't shout over chaos. It simply invites you to draw near. And if you listen closely, you'll hear him say it again. I will make a way. I already am. Sometimes the hardest part of the journey is not the distance but the silence. You're walking, but it feels like you're the only one who remembers the promise. You're praying, but it sounds like your words hit the ceiling. You're believing, but the evidence seems to stack against you. Still, something inside you refuses to give up. That something is not your willpower. It's not your positivity. It's the Spirit of God anchoring you deeper than your feelings, holding you steadier than your emotions, and whispering through the chaos. Keep going, I'm still with you. Because when God makes a way, he often does it from within. He strengthens you before he changes it. He renews your mind before he opens the door. He enlarges your capacity before he increases your opportunity. And maybe what looks like delay is actually divine development. Maybe he's making the miracle fit the new you he's building. Because an old mindset can't carry a new move. And you've been growing, quietly, consistently, faithfully. Every unseen yes has added weight to your roots. Every moment of surrender has widened your spiritual lungs. Every tear you've cried in the secret place has watered the soil of transformation. You are not the same person you were when you started. And that matters. Because when the door opens, God wants you to walk through it not just ready, but whole. Not just excited, but equipped. Not just available, but anointed. So don't rush the way. Trust the one who's paving it. The path he's creating doesn't just lead to breakthrough, it leads to becoming. Becoming more like Christ. Becoming more tender and strong. Becoming more present and powerful. Becoming the kind of person who doesn't just receive miracles, but carries them to others. And that's why the journey has felt long. Because what's being built is eternal. So if it's taking time, it's because it's meant to last. If it's stretching you, it's because it's meant to carry weight. If it's changing you, it's because it's from God. And when it's from God, it never returns void. It always fulfills its purpose. Even when you don't see it yet. Even when it looks unfinished. Even when it feels impossible. So pause right here. Let your soul catch up with the truth. Let your spirit breathe again. Let the whisper settle in. He is making a way. Right here, right now. And you don't have to earn it. You just have to walk in it. Before the sea split, there was a command. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. It wasn't a strategy. It was surrender. It wasn't a map. It was trust. Because God doesn't need a path to create a passage. He is the path. And right now, he's leading you through things you didn't expect to face. But the fact that you're still here is proof that grace is still guiding you. You've survived seasons that tried to silence you. You've endured nights that tried to crush you. You've battled thoughts that tried to define you. But none of those voices wrote your story. The one who did still holds the pen. And he's writing redemption into every page. This is why you can't give up. Because the breakthrough is not somewhere out there. It's already blooming under your feet. The very ground you thought was barren is about to burst with evidence that God has been working all along. So keep watering it with faith. Keep walking it with trust. Keep waiting with hope. The way isn't just being made for you. It's being made in you. And soon, what was hidden will be revealed. Not for applause. Not for prestige, but for glory. Because when God lifts the curtain, It's never to elevate your name. It's to glorify His. And that's how you'll know it was Him. When you look back and say, I could have never done that. When the testimony feels too deep to describe in words. When the people who saw your lowest moments see God's highest mercy. That's when you'll realize the way wasn't just made. It was holy. And you'll fall to your knees. Not because you're weak, but because you're in awe. You'll worship not because life is perfect, but because He is present. You'll cry not because you're overwhelmed with pain, but because you're overwhelmed with peace. So pause right here, take a breath, and if this podcast has touched your spirit in any way, if you felt God whisper something into your heart, would you take a moment to like, comment, share, or subscribe? Your small gesture helps bring this word to someone else who may be standing in a silent valley, waiting to hear that God will still make a way. Now let's continue, because the story is still unfolding. And you're not at the end, you're at the turn where sorrow meets strength, where weeping meets worship, where waiting meets wonder, and where His whisper becomes your way forward. There are seasons where everything familiar feels like it's slipping through your hands. The people, the plans, the certainty, and in those moments, it's tempting to believe that something's wrong. That maybe you missed it. Maybe you took a wrong turn. Maybe God has moved on without you. But friend, listen closely. He hasn't gone anywhere. He's not the one who leaves. He's the one who stays. He stays when your faith feels fragile. He stays when your heart feels numb. He stays when your prayers feel dry. And His staying power is stronger than your drifting. So even if you've lost your footing, He hasn't lost His grip. Even if you've lost your voice, He still hears the cry behind your silence. Even if you've lost direction, He knows exactly where you are. Because He doesn't follow maps. He holds the whole terrain. And He's not intimidated by how far you think you've wandered. In fact, He specializes in bringing beauty from broken roots. That's what the cross was, God making a way where there was none. So if you're feeling lost, look up, not to figure it all out, but to fix your eyes on the one who never lost sight of you. He's still writing, still leading, still redeeming. And what's ahead is not a repeat of what's behind. He's not recycling your pain. He's repurposing it. He's not just giving you closure. He's giving you clarity. Because what once confused you is about to become your calling. What once drained you is about to become your testimony. What once hurt you is about to carry healing for others. This is what happens when God makes a way. It's not just personal, it's generational. It's not just for survival, it's for significance. So keep your heart open. Keep your hands lifted. Keep your spirit awake. The dawn is near, and when the light breaks, it will be undeniable that it was God and God alone who brought you through. Not your strength, not your plan, not your timing, but His whisper, His grace, His unshakable love. And when you walk into that promise, you'll realize, every wilderness had purpose. Every valley had vision. Every delay had design. Because He wasn't just making a way. He was making you ready for it. You've been holding on when it would have been easier to let go. You've been showing up when no one saw. You've been choosing faith when fear seemed louder. That's not weakness. That's worship. That's not denial. That's depth. And heaven sees it. Because nothing surrendered in secret is missed by the eyes of God. He saw the morning you rose with anxiety sitting on your chest, but you still said, God, I trust you. He saw the night you went to bed with tears soaking your pillow, but you still whispered, you are good. He saw the decision to forgive when bitterness would have been easier. The choice to keep going when quitting would have felt justified. The posture of surrender when pride wanted control. And to the world, those moments seem small, but to heaven, they shake foundations. Because that's where the way is being made. in the quiet choices of faithfulness, in the still obedience, in the hidden yes. And those yeses are building something unshakable, not just for now, but for forever. So don't discount what God is doing just because it's not loud. Don't despise the small beginnings. Don't abandon the altar He called you to build, even if no one claps, even if no one shares it, even if no one sees, because God sees, and when He honors something, no man can ignore it. So lift your eyes again, lift your heart again, not to get something, but to see someone, your Maker, your Shepherd, your Father, and He is not finished. What He started, He will complete. What He promised, He will perform. What He whispered, He will fulfill, because He is faithful. And when it's all said and done, you will look back and declare, not just with words, but with your whole life, God made a way, and He made me new in the process. When you feel like nothing is changing, remember, faith grows in the soil of repetition. It's not the fireworks of breakthrough that shape you. It's the daily decision to trust when nothing looks different. And that's where God is most active. Not just in the sudden miracles, but in the slow molding. He is shaping your heart to recognize His hand, training your ears to discern His whisper, teaching your eyes to see beyond what's visible. Because if you only follow what's obvious, you'll miss what's eternal. And the most powerful way God reveals Himself is not through storms or signs, but through stillness. The stillness of knowing He is God. The stillness of surrendering your plan. The stillness of believing His timing. And that stillness doesn't mean passivity. It means posture, a heart bowed in reverence, a soul anchored in trust, a spirit grounded in expectancy. This is where true strength is forged. Not in the spotlight, but in the secret. Not in the applause, but in the altar. Not in control, but in communion. So lean in again, not for answers, not for immediate change, but for intimacy. Because the more you know His heart, the less you'll fear the unknown. And the more you walk with Him, the more you'll realize, every detour was direction. Every delay was protection. Every disappointment was preparation. He was never trying to hurt you. He was trying to hold you. He was never trying to confuse you. He was calling you deeper. And now, He's inviting you again, not to fix it, not to fight it, but to follow. Follow the whisper. Follow the peace. Follow the still, small voice that says, "This is the way, walk in it." And as you do, the path will unfold, not all at once, but step by step, because He knows what you can handle. And He's not rushing the process. He's redeeming it, so be patient with the journey. Be kind to your soul. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. You are not overlooked. You are in the exact place where grace is at work. And that grace, it's making a way even now. You've been asking, "How long, Lord?" As if the length of the wait disqualifies the certainty of His promise. But the truth is, delay is not denial. Silence is not absence. And waiting is not wasting when it's done with Him. There is something God builds in the wait that can't be forged in the rush. Endurance, depth, discernment, all of it comes not in the destination, but in the daily decision to stay faithful. Because God's goal is not just to deliver you to the other side. It's to walk with you through every step of getting there. And if you've been wondering whether He still sees you, He does. If you've questioned whether your prayers still matter, they do. If you've doubted whether the way is still being made, it is. It's being written into the fabric of time, stitched into the chapters of your story, etched into the wind that carries His word across generations. And you are not forgotten in the process. In fact, you are central to it. Because His way isn't just about what you'll receive, it's about who you'll become. You are becoming stronger, more grounded, more aware of His presence. And when the promise comes, it will be more than provision, it will be a reflection of your perseverance. That's what makes the journey sacred. It's not the size of the miracle. It's the intimacy gained along the way. So stay the course. Even when it's lonely. Even when it's quiet. Even when the crowd disappears and all that remains is your whispered, yes. That's when heaven leans in the closest. That's when breakthrough often comes, not like a wave, but like a whisper, subtle, soft, but undeniable. So let it come. Let the whisper carry you. Let the promise steady you. And let grace guide you home. There's a shift happening inside of you, not because everything outside is changing, but because something inside is awakening. A deeper hunger, a quieter confidence, a steady assurance that even if you can't see the finish line, the one who began the work is still working. This is maturity. It's when peace stops depending on your progress. When joy stops requiring a reason. When faith stops demanding a timeline. You've grown more than you realize. You no longer measure God's goodness by open doors alone. You now recognize His goodness even in the hallway. Even in the, not yet. Even in the, just trust me. That's the fruit of walking with the whisper. It matures your ears before it moves your feet. It grows your discernment before it opens the destination. Because He knows, if you rush ahead, you'll miss the sweetness of the process. And the process is where the miracles are hidden. The miracle of daily strength. The miracle of renewed mercy. The miracle of waking up one more day and saying, I still believe. That kind of faith shakes darkness. It silences lies. It shifts atmospheres. Because it's not rooted in outcomes. It's rooted in intimacy. And that kind of faith cannot be faked. It's forged. Forged in fire. Forged in silence. Forged in seasons where all you had was a whisper and a willingness to follow. That's where you are. You're not behind. You're not late. You're not less than. You are becoming. And as you become, the way becomes clearer. Not always easier, but clearer. Because the more you walk with Him, the more you realize, you were never walking to the answer. You were walking with it. He is the answer. He is the way. And He never stops leading those who are willing to follow. Some days you don't need more answers, you just need assurance. Not a plan, not a blueprint, just a quiet voice reminding you, I'm still here. I'm still working. I haven't changed my mind about you. That voice isn't a feeling. It's a fact. It doesn't depend on circumstances. It defines them. And it's the same whisper that hovered over the waters in Genesis. The same whisper that spoke to Moses from a burning bush. The same whisper that met Elijah in a cave. The same whisper that called Lazarus out of the grave. That whisper is still calling your name. Not to shame you, but to anchor you. Not to rush you, but to hold you. Because God's pace is peace. And if the journey feels too fast or too heavy, it might be because you're carrying more than He asked you to. He never called you to carry outcomes. He called you to carry obedience. He never asked you to figure it all out. He asked you to follow. And every time you follow, even when it's scary, even when it's slow, you're stepping deeper into the way He's making. The way that leads to freedom. The way that leads to healing. The way that leads to joy, not built on external shifts, but on internal stillness. Because His way doesn't just change your surroundings. It changes your soul. And that's the greater miracle. Not that the situation shifts, but that you're steady even if it doesn't. That's when you know it's Him. That's when you know the whisper is enough. Because it quiets the storm within before it calms the storm around. So breathe again. Rest again, hope again. He is near, and the nearness of God is not seasonal. It's covenant. It doesn't leave when the feelings fade. It doesn't weaken when the waiting lengthens. It doesn't disappear when the crowd thins. He is the same, yesterday, today, forever. And he's walking this road with you still. Closer than your breath. Stronger than your doubts. Kinder than your shame. You can trust the whisper. Because the whisper is the way. Sometimes you don't need a new revelation, you just need to remember. Remember how far he's brought you. Remember the prayers he already answered. Remember the nights he held you when you thought you'd fall apart. That memory is not nostalgia. It's fuel. It reminds your soul that this isn't the first battle. And it won't be the first breakthrough. Because the same God who parted the sea will part the silence. The same God who shut the lions' mouths will silence every lie. The same God who walked in the fire with the 3 Hebrew boys is standing beside you right now. You are not alone, and you never have been. Even when you doubted, even when you drifted, even when you broke, he stayed, not because you earned it, not because you proved anything, but because love doesn't leave. And his love isn't shallow. It's the kind that climbs into pain, the kind that shows up in ashes, the kind that doesn't flinch at your mess. That love is the foundation under your feet. So don't look around for proof. Look within. He's already there. And he's not intimidated by your questions. He's not annoyed by your weakness. He's not comparing your journey to anyone else's. He's simply saying, let me walk with you. Not just to the miracle, but through the mundane, through the middle, through the moments that feel like nothing is happening. Because something is always happening when God is near. Even when it's invisible, even when it's quiet, even when it's slow. That's the way he makes. It's often not flashy, but it is faithful. It's not always instant, but it is intimate. And that intimacy, that closeness, is the real treasure. So lift your eyes not just to see where he's leading you. Lift him to see who he is. The Waymaker, the storm silencer, the heart healer, the promise keeper. He is still who he said he is. And he is still making a way. There's a turning point that happens in the spirit before it ever shows up in the natural. It's subtle, quiet, undeniable, and it often begins with surrender. Not surrender to defeat, but surrender to divine timing. Surrender to the idea that maybe the wait is not a punishment, but a preparation. That maybe what you thought was a closed door was actually God's hand saying, not yet, because I love you too much to let you walk into something without being fully ready. You see, he's not just concerned with what you walk into. He's deeply invested in what's walking into you. And as you've waited, he's been depositing strength. As you've worshipped, he's been planting wisdom. As you've wept, he's been watering purpose. None of it is wasted. No cry unheard. No sacrifice ignored. No prayer lost in the air. He holds it all. And now, he's stirring something new. It's not always loud, but it is lasting. It's not always exciting, but it is eternal. Because what God builds in the hidden places becomes the foundation for what he reveals in the open. And that's where you are. You're not just waiting, you're being established, rooted, readied, and when the moment comes, you'll know, not because the doors swing wide, but because peace will flood your heart, because clarity will settle your mind, because grace will carry your feet. That's how God moves. Not through striving, but through surrender. So lay it down again. The timeline, the pressure, the fear, lay it at his feet. And pick up the whisper again. The gentle reminder that he's never let you go. And he's not about to start now. Sometimes the greatest miracles are not in what changes around you, but in what awakens within you. That's the miracle of hope. The miracle of peace that doesn't make sense. The miracle of standing in the fire and not being burned. You've tasted that kind of grace. You've seen it in the moments when you should have broken but didn't. In the days you wanted to quit but didn't. In the battles you didn't think you could face, but you did. That strength didn't come from you. It came from the one walking beside you. And he hasn't gone anywhere. He's still there in the in-between. In the middle of questions. In the middle of uncertainty. In the middle of transition. He is not waiting for the perfect moment to show up. He's already present in this one. Right here, right now. And the invitation is the same. Trust me, not because you see the outcome, but because you know my heart. Not because the path is clear, but because my presence is near. And as you keep walking, things will shift, not just externally, but internally. The anxiety will lose its grip. The shame will lose its voice. The fear will lose its authority. Because perfect love casts out fear. And His love for you is not partial. It's not conditional. It's not changing. It is steady. It is sure. And it is surrounding you right now. So breathe in again. Lift your head again. Believe again. The breakthrough is not just coming, it's unfolding. And every step you take is a declaration. God is making a way. And I will follow, even if it's only by faith. Even if it's only one step at a time. Even if it's only with a whisper guiding me forward. There will come a moment, not loud, not dramatic, but holy. A moment when you'll realize you've made it further than you thought. That you've been carried, not just strengthened. That grace has not only covered you, it's grown you. This is what happens when God makes a way. You don't just survive, you transform. Your heart softens. Your worship deepens. Your wisdom expands. And suddenly, what once broke you now builds others. What once silenced you now becomes your song. What once paralyzed you now becomes your platform. Because nothing in the hands of God is wasted. Not the pain, not the waiting, not the confusion. Every piece is redeemed. Every scar becomes sacred. Every detour becomes direction. And that's the legacy He's writing with your life. Not one of perfection, but of perseverance. Not one of performance, but of presence. You were never called to impress God. You were called to walk with Him. And that's what you've been doing, even when it felt like crawling. Even when it felt like silence. Even when it felt like nothing. He was counting every step. Bottling every tear. Recording every moment. And now, He says, look up, child. See what I've brought you through. See how I never left. See how my hand was steady when yours was trembling. This is the way. It's been me all along. And I'm still leading. So rest now. Not because the journey is over, but because your heart has found its anchor. Rest in the whisper. Rest in the promise. Rest in the truth that God has made a way, and He always will. Before we close, let this settle in your spirit. God didn't just make a way in the past. He is making one right now. This very moment, not based on what you see, but based on who He is. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are not too late. You are right where His grace is working. And when you look back one day, you'll weep, not out of regret, but gratitude, because you'll realize that what seemed like the end was really just the beginning. That what felt like loss was layered with unseen love. That what looked like wilderness was filled with whispers of promise. So don't lose heart. Don't give up now. You've come too far. You've grown too deep. And there's more ahead than behind. He's still faithful. He's still kind. He's still making a way. Even now. Especially now. And in the quiet places where no one else can hear. May you hear Him say, I've got you. I've never let go. I will carry you through this. And I will make a way. And that's the beauty of His way. It's never late. Never lacking. Never limited. It's always enough. Always near. Always love. Trust it. Follow it. He's already gone before you.